Picture a single brass house key dangling from a frayed shoelace. For most of human history, a key is just a piece of metal. But if you were born between 1965 and 1980, this isn't just a tool to unlock a door. It is a defining psychological artifact. The physical hardware that programmed an entire generation's operating system. Welcome to the latchkey phenomenon. We call Generation X the forgotten middle child of history. We call them apathetic. We call them cynical. We are completely wrong. Gen X's defining trait isn't apathy. It is radical, quiet self-reliance. And it was forged in an empty house. Rewind to the 1970s. The American family structure is collapsing. Divorce rates are skyrocketing. Dual-income households are becoming the norm. The result? A massive, completely unplanned psychological experiment in extreme independence. By 1984, researchers noticed something terrifying. A major psychiatric study found that 7 million kids, between the ages of 5 and 13, were coming home every day to absolute zero adult supervision. 7 million children, unlocking the front door to a silent living room, making their own snacks, doing their own homework, fixing the TV antenna. This wasn't a scheduling quirk. It was an unsupervised laboratory.
Without adults to intervene, you live in an environment of immediate consequences. Forget your lunch, you go hungry. Break a glass, you clean it up, or you step on it. You don't ask for help, because there is literally nobody to ask. This environment built a very specific kind of adult. It built the architecture of defensive pessimism. Think about their youth. The Cold War threatening nuclear annihilation, Watergate shattering trust, the AIDS epidemic. The world outside the empty house felt deeply unstable, so they learned to expect the worst. But more importantly, they learned they could handle it. The dot-com crash wiped out their early portfolios. The 2008 recession hit them in their prime earning years. And how did they react? Quietly. Studies show this demographic is significantly less likely to request social support during a crisis than any other age group. They just put their heads down. They fixed the problem. This self-reliance made them the perfect bridge between two completely different worlds. They are the ultimate analog-digital hybrids. They grew up riding bikes until the streetlights came on, completely off the grid. But they are also the young adults who built the early internet.
Because they valued autonomy, the internet they built was anonymous, screen names, avatars, a place to explore, not a place to perform. This is exactly why so many of them fundamentally reject modern, overexposed social media culture today. Before we reveal their greatest paradox, I want to hear from you. What analog artifact, a mixtape, a landline, an arcade game, taught you how to navigate the world on your own? Drop it in the comments. Let's build a museum of independence. Now let's talk about their armor. If you want to understand Gen X, you have to understand irony. Irony is their shield. Emotional distance is a survival tactic. When you grow up expecting institutions to fail, you don't tie your identity to a flashy job title. You tie it to raw competence. But here is the most fascinating twist of all, the parenting paradox. You would think a feral, highly independent generation would raise feral, highly independent kids. The exact opposite happened. Gen X became the original helicopter parents. They built highly supervised, meticulously scheduled lives for their kids. They tracked their phones. They organized playdates. Why? It was a subconscious correction.
They wanted to give their kids the safety and presence they never had. They traded the shoelace key for a GPS tracker. So, where does that leave them today? It is time we stop viewing them as the invisible generation. They are not the forgotten middle child. They are the invisible glue. Look around. The people quietly keeping the servers running,
managing the crisis teams, and holding families together without asking for a trophy. That is them. They are the load-bearing architecture of modern society. And they learned how to do it all by themselves, in a quiet house, before the streetlights came on.